What does one do with a superhuman you're not sure you can trust?
I've devised an insurance plan for the future.
Sit down, buckle up.
Told me you have a plan.
Put your weapons down. Kwan here wanted you dead, you'd be dead.
Some kind of covenant artifact, I think.
I know a guy.
Covenant's whole religion is based on things like this.
What is this thing?
You don't understand what you are, do you?
Welcome to Earth 2. Comic Cast for Superheroes exist, and comic book talk is the norm. It's your boy Mo Crosby. Let's talk Halo. So, Halo, the TV series, Paramount and Showtime Studios are bringing to us. I'm sorry that I'm late. I'm doing this late, but we are going to do this weekly now. So I'm going to get into the first two episodes. Episode 1, Contact, and episode 2, Unbound. Episode 1, the big action set piece. Let's go ahead and talk about the action first. Show opens up in Madrigal. The big action set piece is set up in Madrigal. We meet 20 elite soldiers from the Covenant, and we also meet Silver Team, which has Master Chief and the other Spartans, and 3 other Spartans. I thought the action scene was amazing. Huge set piece, and it's a really fantastic undertaking, given the fact that this is not just media that is this is not just from the books. This is from media that people have actually got to feel. So most people that are watching the show are watching the show based on the fact that they played the games. I played the games, read some of the books, not all of them, and so I'm very versed in the Halo lore. But if you're not, and this is your first interpretation of Halo, I'm here to tell you, based on that action scene from episode 1, you are watching pretty much, or you're watching Halo as I've played it, or as anyone has played the game. So that action piece was amazing. It was very fun to see, the elite versus the Spartans, and see how well humanity's super soldiers are, were brought to life. I think it was great to see. I also think the best part in the action scene to me, there's a lot of things that happened in there, but my standout part in the action scene was when Master Chief was taking bullets. He ducked down because his shielding had dropped, and you see it in his visor. If you play the games, you see it in his visor, what you see in the game all the time when you're taking hits, the beeps, and then the recharge of your shielding. So that to me was one of the greatest things they could have done, right? One of the greatest things they could have done on the show was give us that in real time, especially in the action. So I'm very excited for it. The show is rated R, since because the game is mature, the books are also mature reading, because there's a lot, of blood and guts, and in the game there's a lot of, like blood and stuff and such. Granted, it's not human blood, but it is a lot of blood and guts, right? So again, the show, I believe the show following that path is one of the best things to me, to show that. So again, a rated R show is something that I expected, and it's something that I'm not upset with. Now let's get into talk about episode 1. I just wanted to drop, my favorite part of the show so far. I just wanted to drop that for you guys. So that was the action. A huge part of the show to me, of the episode, of the story, of the show, is the story that they've decided to go with. They are telling the story of a prequel. So it's kind of a prequel, but it's also a prequel from the part of where we have it starts off where we're seeing a fully formed Spartan troop, Silver Team, or we're also seeing a fully formed Master Chief. We're not looking at a prequel from like training all the way to he puts on the helmet, right? We're looking at a prequel series from there, and kind of where humanity finds the ring, or Before we're also looking at pre Cortana, so we're still looking at, and so with that story, inside of that story, they've also decided to tell us, what another huge thing they've decided to do is show us Master Chief not fully formed, right? So we haven't seen Master Chief that is cold. So I'm guessing we're gonna get that. We haven't seen Master Chief who's really lost his humanity, because when you initiate Cortana or the Cortana system into the story of Halo, what happens is because of what she's programmed to do, she pretty much blocks a lot of Master Chief's humanity. And this is what we get to see, or this is what we're seeing, especially in episode 1 when he comes in contact with the artifact. The artifact is a key. What is it a key to? We find out that in episode 2. But again, I want to stay in episode 1 for a little bit. And again, the biggest takeaway or the biggest draw away from the actual story of actual game lore and book lore is the fact that Master Chief goes AWOL. Master Chief, from what I've read, will never do that, because he's super connected to Halsey. He's super connected to the UNSC, and they've chosen to tell a different story. But I also believe that they're going to actually connect it. They're going to actually connect it to the actual Halo lore. So at some point, we're going to get the actual Halo lore. That's what I believe. So I'm not mad at the story that they're telling. I'm not mad at the way they're telling the story. I am looking at it as a prequel, and I'm looking at it as something that we're going to get to see unfold into Halo lore, because they've decided they don't necessarily want to mess with the major lore. They want to tell their own story, but I feel like they're going to bring in a lot of the Halo story into this, not just with the characters that we've been given. Episode 1 really got us meeting a lot of characters. So I've already mentioned the Silver Team, Master Chief. We get to actually meet the Covenant in the form of the elite soldiers, or the elite squad. We're also meet one of the actual prophets, and then we meet a human counterpart that they're going to use to further the Covenant story. Like, the Covenant is actually a group of religious zealots who take over the world, take over worlds. They go in, take over worlds, use their message to take over the world, and then subjugate and use that, whatever planet they get into, they use them to now further take over more worlds. That is who the Covenant is from the game lore. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me down in the comment section. But yes, so they've decided to tell a different story from what we know, again using elements of what we know to tell these stories. We get to see, so one of the biggest things that they do that I also like in terms of storytelling is actually show you darker side of the UNSC. If you're from the game side, if you are from the early games and you didn't necessarily play the later games, you will know that the UNSC is actually a trash. I was going to say a trash organization, but they are trash. They allowed a doctor and Dr. Halsey to kidnap or abduct 72 children to create her Spartans, in which she now turned around and what did she do? She turned around and she now gave those parents that she took the children from clone children who will go on to die later. Trash, garbage. UNSC, garbage. UNSC. If you guys have watched The Expanse, I'm gonna probably draw a lot of that, later with my comparison of the show. Is that they've also shown that the outer worlds, right, not the actual main humanity world of Reach, the outer worlds are being subjugated by UNSC. Work for us, do our things, don't rebel against us. If you do rebel against us, we will send our Spartan soldiers to kill you and to get you to obey us. And that is what is being described in the beginning of the show in Madrigal, where the show opens up. We see this little town in Madrigal, and then a lot of them are talking about how, hey, have you ever killed a Spartan? or have you ever killed? You've killed UNSC Marines, but you've never killed a Spartan. You can't kill a Spartan because they keep coming at you. They keep coming. They keep. So yes, we get to meet a population who knows about the Spartan, who knows about the propaganda being pushed by UNSC pretty much, and so UNSC has been shown to be trash. Dr. Halsey, main research scientist for the UNSC, she created the Spartans, in turn creating the Spartan program, and then she's going to create Cortana. Now, in her creation of Cortana, she has to clone herself, right? She clones herself to create Cortana. Cloning is illegal. Okay? Cloning is illegal. I want you to remember this. When we get into episode 2, you understand the importance of what I'm saying and why I also love that they're telling the story of the UNSC and how trash they are. Another thing that makes the UNSC trash is they were really willing to kill the last survivor of the massacre from Madrigal, which when that order was given, even I was surprised. And I know the UNSC is trash, but even I was surprised. I was like, they're really not gonna do that, right? But they did, because that's who they are. They've in their minds, by quelling the rebellion from the outer worlds, you're making a stronger humanity who's going to, one humanity, and everybody's going to be one. And that's what they believe they're doing. No, that's trash. That's very trash. So the basic story in episode 1 is the introduction to the Spartans. Again, Master Chief going AWOL, disobeying a lot of orders from UNSC and Dr. Halsey, and just the basic knowledge of the fact that the UNSC is trash and they're not who they're cracked up to be. The stories continued in episode 2, Unbound, and I think it opens up in the best way I believe, where we get to see a past vision of Master Chief. Not necessarily a vision, actually, the past of Master Chief. We get to also meet another Spartan, Soren 066, who happens to be friends, because again, you have 72 children trained together. They're all friends. They're really all a family. The thing is, because of how they're augmented, a lot of their humanity is being removed. So they don't get to feel certain things like humanity does, or a basic human will. And so it's weird that Master Chief has developed a relationship with one of these Spartans, a close relationship where they at one point wanted to escape together. Master Chief decides, he changes his mind, or John at the time, John 117, he changes his mind, and he tells Soren 00066, like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm changing my mind. You can escape. And then he lets Soren escape. He's like, you can escape if you want to, but as for me, I'm not doing this. This is not something I want to do. And I understood it, again, because we're telling a different story. But this is where I said Halo lore and Halo lore comes in, because in that moment, Soren tells John, you're always going to be, you're always going to be her puppet. Dr. Halsey, if you know anything about the Halo games or the Halo books, John 117 is really super connected to Dr. Halsey, and he sees her as a pseudo mother. If he sees her as a mother. So yeah, Soren telling John that in the opening scene honestly connects, again, like I said, for a different story, still connects into the majority or the bigger story of Halo that we know. Then we move on to John and Kwan, who've escaped from Reach and are going to meet John and the Rubble. The Rubble, I believe, is a cluster of asteroids just floating in space. I actually do not know that world. I'm not sure if it's a world that's in the games. I can't really think. I haven't played a lot of the games in a while. Currently playing the new game. So I'm thinking, is it anything that we should know? I don't think it's anything that we should know or we've known, but it is one of the worlds that I actually, again, in for the show, we've seen two worlds. We've seen the Covenant's home planet or home world, and we've seen um Reach. Reach is where humanity has decided to claim as their home world now, and I think, but for everything that we've seen, everything looks beautiful. The animation looks beautiful. The design of these worlds are beautiful. Again, Reach looks like something we've seen in Halo Reach if you've played Halo Reach. So yeah, I honestly I'm floored by everything I'm seeing. Master Chief goes to meet Soren to talk about the device he found and try to gain some type of knowledge. Just before he always knew he was going to go back, but he wanted to gain some type of knowledge of what he was looking at before he went back, before he gave himself back up. He was never. I also, when I saw Master Chief go AWOL, I'm like, he's gonna go back because he's the one. If anyone else was gonna run, Soren has ran. If any other Spartan was gonna run, it would not be Master Chief. He would not be the one to go on the run. He meets Soren, he meets Soren's family, and he looks at Soren's family and he's like, wow, like, you have something, right, that I would like, or I remember having, because at this point he's having memories. You have something that I would like, or I would remember having, and it's something that I think I want to fight for. So this is when he decides, he makes up his mind after meeting Soren, after finding out what the device is, after trying to find out who he is, because I think he also goes back not just to find out from Dr. Halsey tell Dr. Halsey, report back to Dr. Halsey about the device. I believe 100% he goes back to find out more of who he is. So we've talked about, Soren, and we've talked about Master Chief's plan or thought process throughout all of this, right? Let's talk about UNSC in episode 2. Even more trash. And I know it's more trash because when Master Chief running has given Dr. Halsey she becomes a lot more open about a way to control the Spartans and make sure something like this doesn't happen again. And you can see her wheels turning when she's met by one of the generals, like, hey, so how do you trust a superhuman you can't control? Well, I have a contingency, but because of the illegality of cloning, am I sure that I can actually do this? There's a roundtable discussion, and she's given the authority to create Cortana, which, again, I'm trying to tell you, they're super trash. And if you didn't believe they were super trash, episode 2 shows them to be even more super trash when Dr. Halsey, when UNSC has given Madrigal to a brutal and a senseless murderer. Like, he's they're like, oh, we have to find a governor who's going to work with us. Yeah, how about this guy? Vishal, I believe his name is. This is who is going to run Madrigal for us and is going to make sure that the populace of Madrigal, are under our thumb. This guy who is going to kill anyone who we don't like or who he doesn't like. This is not, they've taken out the ruler and they've put in a despot. You know what? I'm not going to draw any realism into this, because we've seen this happen in the world where a world power goes into a country, destabilizes the country, takes the leader out, and places a leader who is more malleable, or who's more of their speed. And when they do that, they turn around and see, wait a minute, this guy's actually very bad. But then at this point, they don't care because he still decides to be under their thumb. So he can do whatever he wants to do, but as long as he does what we want him to do, we're good with that. And that's exactly what UNSC has done to Madrigal. Also, there is, with the lone survivor, who I believe is going to play a deeper story in Madrigal, because you don't just have her sitting around because Master Chief does leave her with Soren when he goes back. We're gonna get Cortana coming. We're gonna see a lot more of the Reach and of the Covenant and their fight. But back at the Covenant, the priestess decides to meet with the elite soldier, the one who escaped, the one who got away, and she does meet with him, and she asks him, when the Master Chief 117 touched the artifact, what happened? Well, I saw the ring. A lot of us who know what the ring is, I think the Halo weapon, that's what ends up giving humanity the power to defeat the Covenant. And so now I think we're going to be in a race to see who gets to the weapon first. But this human that the Covenant is entrusted, this priestess, says, hey, I can go and I can mingle with humanity, and I can get you, or humans can get you, this weapon to give us the edge in this fight. I honestly believe that she's connected to Master Chief in more ways than one. With those flashbacks, we saw John, and there was another child in those flashbacks. In those flashbacks, we saw the child draw the artifact. I 100% believe both of them could either be related in blood, or it could just be someone who's super connected to him and the artifact and the ring, just like he's connected to the artifact and the ring. And that is what I'm super interested in. Again, that's the story that they've decided to tell. We're going to see Cortana get activated in the next couple episodes. I am very, very interested to see where this show goes and how the story builds up. I love everything I've seen so far. The world building is amazing. The story is amazing. The characters are amazing. I believe the way they've decided to turn the characters around and tell the stories of the characters is super amazing. However, in the games, it's a general who, UNSC Marine, who happens to find the aliens, who's discovered the aliens. I don't know how they're going to tell us how the war started. I'm interested in seeing how they decide to tell us how the war started. Again, I believe the show is being done in a way where I believe the show is being done in a way where it doesn't mess or doesn't touch the actual Halo lore. And I believe it's being done that way just so that people don't, you messed this up. You messed this up. But again, people are going to be people. People are complaining, oh my God, you messed it up. Oh my God, Master Chief took off his helmet. We got to see underneath the helmet. You don't hire Pablo Schreiber to keep him in the helmet 100%, right? That's my take on that. Just like Mandalorian, you don't hire what's the name of the actor who plays Din? You don't hire him to play Din or to play Mando and keep him in the helmet 24/7. You don't do that. I believe, you need to see who's behind the helmet. You need to humanize these characters a little bit, even though they're not humans. Otherwise, they could honestly just be robots, but they're not. So I liked that they did that. I didn't mind that they did that. I also like that they're telling a story that's separate from the Halo lore, using Halo lore to build on their story. I like that they're doing that. That way, I'm not going to be looking for comparisons and telling them they're not doing it right based on the fact that they're not doing the story that I know. So I'm very okay with what they're doing and what the decisions they've made. Now, how this unfolds, I think, is the bigger question to ask. We're just 2 episodes in. I believe it's a 9-episode season. We're 2 episodes in, and I'm ready to see the rest of it, to be honest. One thing I can tell you is the production budget is very evident in everything that we're looking at. All the episodes look great. All the costumes look great. The worlds look great. Nothing looks out of place. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing, and I want us, as like a community, to actually pause for a second and just let them tell their story. When the season is done, we can say whether they did a good or bad job. I don't think they've done a bad job up to this point. I really, really love what I'm watching. I really, really love how it feels. It makes me feel like I'm playing a different Halo game. Like the same characters that I know, but a different telling. And I'm enjoying it so far. If you are enjoying Halo, down in the comment section, let me know. If not, also let me know. I want to know what you don't like about the show. I want to know what you don't like about the story. I'm very interested in seeing all of that. So down in the comment section, let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Also, if you're listening to this on the podcast, let me know, again, come to find us on YouTube, same name, same channel name, and just tell us what you don't like and what they're doing that makes it stand out and makes you not feel like you're watching Halo. If you feel like they're using the Halo name to show us a different TV show, let me know. I think that's a very interesting thought. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you next week for episode 3. Peace.
You've seen it too. They're coming. And you fought.
Yes.
And you won.
Not yet.
John and the other Spartans
Will operate as designed and will bring us the weapon that wins this war.
The people rely on you to protect them, to make them feel safe.
What does one do with a superhuman you're not sure you can trust?
You think she cares about you?
Open their eyes.
We've been fighting together since we were kids, Chief. Whatever you do, we trust you.
Master Chief, I'm here for you.
You felt it, didn't you? It's the end of life as we know it. I've seen what Covenant weapons are capable of. Entire planets turned to glass.
If we don't all join together, I don't know how we're gonna stop them.
You want revenge? I want justice.
Spartans, keep on killing.
Come to daddy.
You're okay with this?
Sometimes you have to make hard choices.
What's the point in saving humanity? We're gonna give up our own.
17, on me.
This is the end of everything.
Let's ensure that all of these sacrifices have not been in vain. Finish what we started.
There will be reckoning.